Hello everyone, this is Gorax with DragonHeir Silent Goods video. Today I will show you 6 teams, of which 2 are free-to-play friendly that can deal with Chief Challenge ASCHETIUS. During my runs, I will not be using any mythical equipment and my gear will not be optimized. If you have mythic equipment or gear with better stats, you will do much better. Also, my psychic core is not maxed out, as you can see on the attached picture. ASCHETIUS is a boss that will punish any melee heroes. His basic attacks will hit 3 heroes in front of him and apply burn. His battle skill deals damage around him and also applies burn, and his ultimate is doing massive damage. It is recommended to skip melee heroes and bring single tank, and Garius is the best for the job as he can cleanse himself and heal and shield with Gatekeeper staff, which means he can keep the team alive all by himself even without the Moonlight Mantle. It is recommended to bring attack down if you don't have Moonlight Mantle, and Iola once again is amazing at it. We need to make sure she is on 80-second rotation. If you follow this strategy and placement, you will reduce the boss damage significantly. Now that you know the strategy, let's go over the teams. As always, we're gonna start with the team that is directed for those who want to compete on the leaderboards, and surprisingly, this team will use 2 epic heroes, as I don't think there's anyone else who can do the job the way they do. So as I mentioned, to avoid ASCHETIUS' battle skill to deal constant damage to our melee heroes, we will focus on the range heroes, and only one hero will receive burn, and that's Garius. Garius' ultimate dispels all debuffs from himself, heals all allies, and with Gatekeeper staff we also shield these allies, expanding their HP bar so they can survive the massive damage that ASCHETIUS does. Furthermore, to mitigate that damage, we bring in Iola, who will be our Witch's Remain applier. Unless you have triple and quadruple rolls on haste, you will need double haste set to have 18-second rotation here. Similar for Garius. This is really important as we want to ensure we cast the skill at the same time. This is why we also don't bring anyone with recharge speed penalty, to make it easier for ourselves. Currently, Perkunte and Orfina are probably the strongest duo for Vortex, and they work on single target bosses like ASCHETIUS as well, and that's why we're gonna use Orfina and Perkunte here as our main damage dealers. We also use Farival because he doesn't require anyone from the Dauntless team to still do a lot of damage. Artifact wise, I'm using the box because we can't really use the Poison of the Swamp because Garius will only heal once. So there might be other options, but I wanted to use this as we're gonna get shield from Garius as well. And as you can see, we're gonna run the Dominator set, Echo of War set on both Orfina and Farival, who are basic attack based. Okay, their damage is coming from that, and Perkunte with the Crown of the Order, which is the exclusive artifact, and team is doing solid damage. And the timings, we can finally set a proper timings. Now, defense down will be out of sync most of the time, but most of the damage is coming from those 2 heroes, while Perkunte needs time to build up Orfina's electrocuted that she applies, and then basically that's tremendous damage through that. Garius, as I said, couple seconds before the ultimate, in Iola's ultimate with attack penalty before the second skill, so it lasts till 21.7, which covers the ultimate of ASCHETIUS, which helps us survive, and the team is doing solid damage. Now, the second team is a variant of this team, as I believe these triple range heroes are currently the strongest triple heroes, and I sacrificed the attack penalty, but I brought in Solar King of the Horn. I'm still not using Moonlight Mantle, which means Garius might die early despite this extra healing, because the damage from ASCHETIUS is really big, so we definitely need some kind of damage mitigation and stuff. But yes, okay, so is it 88 million, which is below that because we're using support instead of damage dealer. Now the next variant is basically using the 4 damage dealers. This is probably something that can deal the most damage, but it will require Moonlight Mantle. I'm not using Moonlight Mantle here because that's not what this guide is all about. So with proper equipment, you can make Garius sustain the whole team and stay alive long enough for this team to deal even more damage. Now the timing is here, right? So let's focus on who's applying witches remain. If you look at the equipment, applier is Farival. So Farival will apply witches remain with his basic attacks after the ultimate is cast. And Orphina will be on default as well because her ultimate lasts 15 seconds. We want that as soon as, basically. And we'll have a good upkeep on the defense penalty. Then we delay Perkunte's damage a little bit. So there's enough electrocuted stacks on him, the Overwhelmed, which is his passive. And Ivelios, he can cast it whenever because he's ultimate already ignores 100%. Now what makes this team powerful is we're using 4 damage dealers. We're using defensive aura to survive longer, and if Garius is enough to sustain, and he should with Moonlight Mantle, you will be looking at good damage because Ivelios passive works on all the heroes, but the Dauntless hero have double chance. So we still have a very good basic attack of Dauntless hero plus Orphina counts as well. So this damage is really powerful, and I believe this is the team that can do the most damage out of the 3 that I showed you. But now for those of you who don't have Perkunte and still want to use this range variant, you're looking at 76 million with using Iola here instead of Perkunte, so it is still really good damage. Skill timings still very similar. We use the same timings on the supports and basically default everywhere else. Now finally the free-to-play friendly part. Now if you think about playing free-to-play friendly Thunderbolt and you don't have any of the legendary heroes, please don't. Similar to the summons, there's no point, but I'm gonna use 2 variants of the Dauntless team, and again I'm gonna use Garius and Iola, right? This variant will use a melee hero Shelter, which is not ideal. Shelter will die very quickly, okay, unless we build him tanky, but there's no point. This is what I came up with for the free-to-play players. Now, we don't have Garius's staff, but we still need the haste to make sure he dispels the burn from himself. And we're using the Spiritual Burner, which reduces the ultimate cooldown. That alone is enough to be at 18 seconds, but obviously we want a little bit of haste as well to ensure that is happening. And Iola with witches remain on 18-second rotation, and these are the timings, very basic, very simple, nothing really happening here as we wait for Iola's ultimate before we use our first rotation. And then we basically sync our damage dealers as they are really dependent on Shelter's ultimate. So that's it. And the second variant is when you don't want to play Shelter, you can play Yagnats in the back as well, basically with whatever you can put on him damage wise, and the team is still doing solid 24 million damage without any mythic equipment, as you can see over here. Basically the same idea, we're just putting the Yagnats with some damage equipment. And the timings, Yagnats has a really short cooldown, so we want this at 15 seconds. We could even make him as the witches remain applier, but then we still need a little bit of haste here, so basically why waste it when we can build him with damage and build Iola with attack penalty. So that's called basically it when it comes to this boss, and all the bosses are now covered. I believe ASCHETIUS is not as hard as we would think, but we need damage mitigation, we need shields to expand our hero pools if you want to aim for this high rankings. But luckily we can use Garius, and Garius is providing us with all of that. Even free-to-play friendly teams will do really good damage once you put mythical equipment on them. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please click the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. As always, thank you for watching, stay safe, Bye!